I'm totally trying to recover from my third booster jab while I'm filming this video. So the title of this video is how I saved $60,000 in 2 years as a cabin crew. My first real job ever was a cabin crew, also known as flight attendant, flight steward, high-class waiter. How I ended up in this job was really simple. I just ended 2 years of compulsory army in the Singapore Armed Forces, made compulsory by the Singapore government. I was 22 years old, broke as hell due to my drinking, partying and smoking habits, and I did not even have 2 coins to rub them with. $0 literally to my name. So there's going to be a video on that as well. I graduated with an arts diploma in interior design and did not have money to further my studies for a degree. On top of that, I still had a student loan of $6,000. I really wanted to save enough to pursue my education in a local university. After going for a few job interviews with interior design companies, I was offered $1,600 starting salary, which is $1,280 after minusing off CPF, which is the government savings scheme in Singapore, probably as a draftsman. My living expenses at the time was about $800 before clubbing and partying expenses. It was clear to me I will never save enough for my university degree. I was a very bold person who will shoot for the skies with whatever I have in my arsenal. I have started doing research on jobs out there that could pay well and could get me as much exposure to the ways of the world as possible. I needed to clock in experience. My choices were very limited due to my qualifications, age and life experiences. And then, with my research, this appeared. Sounds cool, right? But not a chance because you needed to pay $200,000 for a pilot license. Then this appeared. Singapore Airlines pilot. We pay for your license. Nope, you have to be 26 years old and above. Other options were to sign up with the army, but I think we could all agree being a cabin crew sounded way cooler, at least for my personality type. The Singapore Airlines cabin crew recruitment website was super enticing. It showed starting income at $3,500 per month. That was insane money for someone like me back then. It meant that I could save $2,400 a month. Little did I know, it was more like $4,500 to $6,000 income a month after including flight allowances and other allowances. And that was in 2007, mind you. I was overjoyed. The job sounded like it suited my personality a lot. The minimum qualification was a diploma. I trained hard for the 4 rounds of cabin crew interview. I would place newspaper articles and reading scripts on music stands like this and practice reading for close to 2 hours every single day. I'm not kidding. Voila! I made it through the interview session on my first try, which was 2 months before I ended my compulsory army serving. I would share more about my cabin crew experience in another video, but for now, let's focus on how I saved money. I pretty much blew all my income, which was about $5,000 plus per month, on necessities and everything else stupid I ever wanted. Necessities included luggage bags, winter clothes. Useless stuff included stupid souvenirs from every country, new electronic gadgets like MP3 players, new computer for gaming, cameras. Heck, I bought $10,000 of camera equipment thinking that I had to capture the best moments while traveling the world, and clothes from every local brand in the world. If there was anything I did well, it was to stay away from big brands. I used to take public transport, now I do taxis and cabs everywhere. Suddenly, cheap $30 sport shoes are not sufficient for running. You need like $120 to $180 ones. Suddenly, local gym memberships were not enough. You had to go for $160 monthly memberships like Fitness First. But I never regretted paying for good gyms. On top of that, I was partying and drinking a lot more than before. Chasing skirts as well, girls. And yes, with credit card programs, you could go into many clubs for free with 40% off alcoholic drinks. I was still doing things to impress the opposite sex, and a lot of them included shelling out cash. It took me only 2 to 3 months of living that kind of lifestyle before I realized what my purpose of being a cabin crew was. It was to save money. I was lucky because my days in the army was so crazy and all about partying that I actually became a lot tamer when I became a cabin crew. Usually it is the other way around. Never ever let the workplace culture shape you. That is for the weak mind. Always form your values and goals before you enter the workforce. However, being a 22-year-old immature mindset, it was a constant struggle between daily temptations and doing what is right. Which is why I'm actually hoping this video will be watched by many young adults so they do not make the same mistakes as I did. I realized one thing at 22 years old. Well, I did realize earlier, but the commitment to this realization became stronger than before. You can't continue spending and partying. However, there will be a same 22-year-old with the same income or lesser getting ahead of you by saving. You can always start saving later, right? YOLO, you only live once. End of the day, yes, that is true. You can start saving at say 26 years old. But don't forget, there is one thing that is limited and finite. That is your time. You can be chasing pretty girls or guys, but don't forget, some of them are smart. They enjoy the chase and being pampered with gifts and dinner dates, but at the end of the day, they may not choose you. And they may end up with a much more stable guy or girl. Once again, wasting your time and more importantly, your youth. Once gone, you can't get it back, huh? By the way, it's the same thing for girls chasing guys, okay? I'm just using the guy chase girl context because I'm a guy, alright? No sexism here. The same person who have been saving while you are busy YOLOing could have already saved his first pot of gold and started investing it, creating a small stream of income, which means he already has given himself a promotion or a raise, giving him a head start over you. Now, that was a time where I started to get really serious about life. I put my pen down and did my first goal setting ever. Well, it was a blog on WordPress actually. Prior to that, I always had a wish list of wants, not needs. You guys must know the difference, okay? My biggest goal was to be a millionaire by the age of 30 and to use the $1 million to fully purchase a condominium apartment in central Singapore. Of course, in 2022, $1 million gets you no central apartment. It was a goal in my mind. However, at 22, putting it down on paper made me realize that it was not possible with this simple formula. If I saved $2,500 a month times 12 months times 8 years, that would only be $240,000 savings by the time I'm 30 years old. Wow, that would be insufficient. I then lowered my expectations and aimed for a $300,000 government housing, which is what 85% of locals in Singapore live in. I started to think further. I needed to get married eventually. After doing some research on the cost of hotel weddings, which is a norm for Chinese people here, the Chinese wedding plus honeymoon would cost me $60,000. Not forgetting, I really wanted to save for a university degree, which would be another $30,000 because I felt that having a degree would increase my income, allowing me to save more and faster. That would mean $390,000 before the age of 30. Suddenly, my dream of owning a car became the last thing on my list. I had to be a responsible man. It became clear to me, what is the point of impressing girls now when I can't even afford to get married by 30? By the way, owning a car here sets you back between $1,300 to $2,200 a month. And I really didn't want to be left on the shelf. Of course, at 22, my knowledge of finance wasn't so good. I forgot to factor in that my life partner may contribute to both the house and the Chinese wedding as well. I also did not understand that we could get a housing loan. I really knew nothing about money back then. Doing my goal setting and casting it in stone really reminded me constantly that I needed to make smart money decisions on a daily basis. With this money goal, it shaped my everyday behavior. I started looking for ways that can increase my income and decrease my expenses, therefore increasing my monthly savings. I started looking into how I can make side income to increase my savings. Thus, I started investing into the stock market. I also started budgeting my partying, although that was a really difficult thing to do. Instead of buying bottles of whiskey, I went for a jug of Long Island tea. We all vomit and puke the same way at the end of the night anyway. I went back to my army days of drinking 3 cans of beer before entering the clubs. I think there's a term for this these days. Don't act like you guys don't know what I'm talking about, huh? Instead of taxis, I would try to leave the clubs earlier, which seldom happened, or wait till 6:30 a.m. to catch the public transport. It was very difficult to stop partying, which was something I was only able to do fully by the age of 29. Of course, it dwindled all the way. I also always limited how much I spent on dates. In fact, it came to a point where I started not going on dates. And when I do go on dates, I started to be wary of girls who make me spend a lot of money. Yeah, some of the dates could really hurt because you could really like a girl for aesthetic reasons. So shallow, right? Like your dream girl, that kind. But the way they look at you, knowing that you would prefer to take the bus or go for cheaper restaurants, that wasn't so pleasant. And many times they did choose someone else. I have to be honest, I did not receive much guidance on this part of life when it came to partying, nightlife, vices, and such. My only consolation was that I started early and I learned the lessons early. Every time I did something, every time I made a money decision, I would ask myself, does it contribute to my goal or does it take me further from it? As mentioned, being a 22-year-old 20-year-old with so many temptations in life, especially as a cabin crew, I still made bad decisions. But this time round, with my goal in mind, I started to feel guilty each time it happened. The seeds were already planted. The beautiful thing is, when I started this whole lifestyle, right, it even affected the friends around me as well. I started to lower my living expenses to this. $5,000 income, right? Minus $1,000 for living expenses, minus $1,000 monthly for partying, I still have $2,500 to $3,000 monthly in savings. What, Glenn? You spend $1,000 on partying? Okay, I did, alright? It slowly dwindled down to zero by the age of 25. I used to go to any weddings that I was invited to, including distant friends, and the dowry in the form of Chinese red packets could range between $120 to $200. I stopped attending any Tom, Dick, and Harry's wedding celebrations. You see now, having a clear goal shapes your daily behavior. No more restaurants, it's all about coffee shop food. As the months went on, I got stricter with myself. During cabin crew flights, whereby country stopover expenses were high like London, the US, Japan. In London, a meal could set you back by 30 to 40 Singapore dollars. Back then, the pound exchange rate was 1:3. I would packet food from Singapore like hor fun, sandwiches, canned food, UHT milk into the aircraft, put it in the fridge, and have my cheap Singapore food at the country that I was arriving in. That really saved me a lot of money. Of course, countries like Indonesia, I love the food and it's very reasonably priced. I would also make sure I eat as much aircraft passenger untouched meals as possible so that I'm super full when I leave the aircraft each time. I would stay in the hotel rooms instead of going out, especially when it was in countries that I had already visited before. But I made sure my cabin crew experience was not compromised. While in the hotel rooms, I would try to trade the stock market to earn an extra $500 a month. That part went pretty well. Towards the end of my cabin crew life, I sold off all my camera equipment. In fact, the price of Canon cameras went up, thus I merely lost 5% of my entire buy price. If I did not bring food from Singapore, overseas supermarkets were my best friends like Walmart, Lotte Mart, Kohl's, Marks & Spencer, you name it. Throughout my cabin crew journey, I had only bought 2 branded items. One was a Burberry black label sling bag which cost me $300 back then. Okay, it's not too expensive. I wouldn't really call that branded. Don't judge me, yeah? But it was robbed off me in my recent US trip, by the way. The other one was a real branded item. During the start of my cabin crew life, one of the seniors told me, Glenna, you got to try, okay? It is very shock one. To buy branded, it will really change your life. So I did. I think we were at Italy. The senior set of crew brought me to a Gucci shop. After spending 3 hours there, I picked a pair of Gucci shoes. Wow, I tell you, it cost me $500 for a pair of Gucci shoes. Probably considered cheap in 2022. I wore it to go clubbing so I could show off. You know lah, young and impressionable. When people stepped on my shoes, my heart was so pain. I ended up standing by the bar the entire night. Since then, I probably only wore it 3 times till date before I decided to give it away to a friend maybe 4 years ago. I just can't bear to wear it to the extent that I would rather give it away than wear it to people who could appreciate it more. My choice of friends and people I hung out with also changed. When it came to hanging out with the opposite sex, I started to get very cautious of, I'm sorry, but princessy girls. I will probably make a video of that experience and share it with guys. Maybe girls who guys make you spend money as well. I was a cabin crew for only 2 years, exactly 24 months. By the end of my cabin crew life, I had saved a nice $60,000. I was 24 years old by then. With that amount of savings, it opened many doors, roads, and options for me. I had a dream to be rich one day. What is rich? I did not have a clue what rich really meant at the time. Was it to be a millionaire? Was it to be able to provide for my family without my wife having to work? Was it so that I could live in a condominium or send my kids overseas for their education? At the back of my mind, I definitely was hoping to be a millionaire by the age of 30 and buying that central condo near Muhammad Sultan Road or River Valley Road. In Singapore, it was considered cool for people around my age group or older to stay in that areas. I knew that if I continued staying on as a cabin crew, I might not be able to reach those dreams and goals that I wanted, or at least attain the knowledge to get there. I knew I could not achieve the lifestyle that I wanted. Therefore, in 2009, 1 year after the global financial crisis, without securing any job, I quit. I knew that my savings could last me 5 years without a job. It was time to pursue my journey ahead, my university degree and my dreams. And oh yes guys, After watching this video, if you ever feel bad about spending your entire first job's first year income, don't feel bad about it. This is a common phenomenon. Don't forget, it is your first job. You are trading experiences for money at first. And since your experiences are so little, it might be a good trade-off. I traded most of my army money for all the socializing and clubbing and rubbish, which didn't turn out to be so much rubbish actually, since it helped me build a lot of social skills. It's like playing an RPG game. Money is your stat points. If you pump all your stat points into savings, it's not too bad a choice, then you achieve material goals faster. If you pump some into entertainment, you get a well-balanced character, maybe. All roads lead to Rome, end of the day, as long as you hit your goals. If you find that this series speaks out to you in your current phase of life and that there are valuable lessons for you to take away, do stay tuned for more videos coming up, as I will be sharing a lot about my entrepreneurial journey. Some of them include me losing all my savings 4 times and how just 3 years ago I almost had to sell off my apartment. Do let me know how you feel in the comments below and support this channel by subscribing and hitting the like button. It is free for you, but for me, it encourages me to continue creating content like this. Alright guys, I'll see you guys in the next video.